Namaste. Be in peace and keep smiling. Let us close your eyes. Let us do a few minutes of understanding, contemplation, reflection, or you can say it is simply a practice. So eyes are closed and find yourself in a most comfortable position of the body. Or you can sit on the couch or just lying and then feel the sensation. Feel the sensation of what? Feel the sensation in the entire body. Or I can say become aware of the entire body. Feel the sensation, comfort and steadiness. When you feel and experience it, raises your awareness. And that will help you to look with it. Look inside your body. This is a way to explain. So when you are looking inside the body, you become aware of the inner space or darkness. Just recognize that inner space. Become aware of that space has no boundary. When you recognize the space has no boundary, you can easily drop the thoughts pertaining to the object. By repeated practice, consistent practice, regular practice will help you recognize and realize that state. What I'm talking about? That when you see the space inside and it has no boundary, your mind leaves the objective reality. What it means? The thoughts, the distractions in the mind will come to an end. I made a very big statement. So just an awareness of the space inside. Then there is another way to understand that. I said observe your thoughts coming into your mind. The thoughts like traffic on the road. You are standing across the road, so you are different from the thoughts. You are different from the traffic. You are separate from your thoughts. Don't attach to or identify with them. You're standing across a road. That is an example. So same way you are standing across the traffic of the mind. What are the traffic of the mind? Are the thoughts. Find, separate, feel, and recognize that you are separate from all the thoughts that is entering into your mind. Thoughts are coming and going, but you see them, they are different. Thoughts come and go, like the cars in the different lane on the traffic. They come and go. That leaves you being carefree. Do you still remember I have been telling you that it is the mind that cares internally in terms of the thoughts, feeling, and the sensation? How the mind can care us when the mind itself is crazy? So that is why whatever the thoughts are coming, we let them come, we let them go, like the traffic on the road. Neither we are the traffic, nor we are the highway. So these two steps raise your level of awareness. And if you continue the journey like this all the time, it changes your behavior and attitude. You have enough space in your mind to respond. Then what happens? The reaction calms down. Anxiety is no more. So easy. Careful learning and listening, contemplation and reflection helps us to raise our level of awareness. But sometimes it happens the mind on a given day is preoccupied. So when the mind is preoccupied, it is the best thing to chant and recite the mantra mentally with the knowledge. Asatu ma satu gamaya. Asatu ma satu gamaya. Asatu ma satu gamaya. Do we know the meaning? Lead us from false to the truth. You have done this. It is an intellectual understanding. And now you remain as it is. If you're looking outside, just remain as it is. Asatu ma satu gamaya. You are saying in your mind, means lead me from false to the real. So you have to recognize simply internally in your mind, if any thought is coming, let it come and go. False means the mind is seeking and searching peace and happiness outside. Is it difficult to recognize? The moment you recognize, maintain that awareness, that thought will drop by itself. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. This verse means lead me from ignorance to wisdom, darkness to light. what it is asking, this mantra is saying that we should instantly enter into the discernment and dispassion when any thought comes. By recognition, by remembering, by recalling. So thought has come, and that thought is unwanted. We are not taking care. We did not invite them. So, what is discernment? You recognize the thought, you know that the thought has come, you know the thought is going, finished. Such a simple. So, whether there is a thought or a feeling, so what exactly we are understanding, not only practicing but also understanding, any thought that comes to our mind unwanted, unwelcome, they are unwelcome. I hope and I believe you can separate yourself from all the thoughts which is going and coming into your mind at this time, and you can extend that period. But this mantra says, lead me from ignorance to wisdom. The entire journey of Eastern wisdom is a self-discovery, self-inquiry. So why we do this self-inquiry? To remove the ignorance. And what happens when we remove the ignorance? We find we are the real self of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. The way you are successfully doing the practice, the same way you have to follow the state of your mind, you have to follow the mind, or you have to become aware inside during the day also. So when you maintain that awareness of being comfortable and being carefree during the day, the progress will be definitely made. Anytime, here, anytime, on a given situation in a direction, or given situation in a condition, check the calmness inside. Check the thoughts are coming and going. Remain attached. No thought is yours. You're doing nothing. Mrityurama gamaya. Say in your mind, Mrityurama gamaya. Mrityurama gamaya. It is moving from the mortality, or we can say the sense of insecurity, sense of limitation, sense of unhappiness, sense of dissatisfaction. All are responsible for our dying every day. We die due to the anxiety, duality, and a conflict. And you know another mantra where you go to the world, you live your personal, professional, and social life, keeping in mind this mantra. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. So you are not seeking peace and happiness from anyone in the world. at least do this week. You just spare. You just give peace and happiness. You express yourself in peace and happiness to everyone this week. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Which means may there be peace for everyone. So it is just, with eyes open or closed, you can just extend your vision, your understanding from your point to Sarvesham, Sarvesham, Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Purnam Bhavatu. You are thinking and contemplating, you are saying in your mind, Sarvesham, Purnam Bhavatu, may there be completeness in all. Because you are not seeking peace and happiness from the others. Why? Because you are in peace and happiness yourself. This week, may there be completeness in all. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. May there be auspiciousness for all. Means the entire world is always full of auspiciousness, harmony, love, and wisdom. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Experience that steadiness in the minds. Experience that sense of steadiness in the whole body. Feel that state of the calmness and open your eyes. Slowly we are now again moving into the next topic. What we have done in the last 3 weeks, that lasting happiness and fulfillment comes from within. The mind is going outside, mind is, oh, what this crazy guy. No. I have to remember. Just you have to remember, oh, lasting fulfillment, happiness is inside. What I have to do? What I have to do by blaming, complaining, and reaction outside in a situation? No need. So that no need will only come if you are aware, if you live consciously. Peace, joy, love, wisdom arise from realizing once our real nature. But the mind will go back again. The mind habitually seeks that pleasure which it claims happiness by desire fulfillment. And for a desired fulfillment, there has to be a person, there has to be a situation, there has to be a relationship. And the moment you become aware, oh, I'm seeking peace and happiness from there. No. Let me give, let me express in peace and happiness, love and wisdom in this situation, in this relationship. And you will see the life changes. So what to do? Just recognition. You are just aware, knowing that the peace and happiness are inside you. And from there, you start thinking, speaking, and acting, working in the world. It has nothing to, it. Many people say me that, oh, it means I should not do any work, and I keep on thinking like this. No. You simply remember, you are aware that you are not seeking peace and happiness from outside. So it is in terms of the thought, feeling, and the sensation when this mind seeks pleasure and desire fulfillment, which provides a fleeting happiness. The real happiness is unconditional, not dependent on any object or experiences or personal relations. And that wisdom comes by regular practice, constantly thinking and just being aware, contemplating and reflecting. You see the deeper truth, not just the external sensory information. Become aware. That is what we say, you become aware. There is another way. You simply remember and never forget. You never forget your house, never forget your car. So you never forget peace and happiness are not the properties of anything in the world. And if that happens, you will see the moment your mind says, oh, peace and happiness is not the property of this guy, that guy, this relationship, that event, this event, today and tomorrow. Mind will definitely move into calmness and peace. That is where the beginning of the self-fulfillment is made. There is another way to understand. My sense organ do not experience peace and happiness. But if the sense organ, due to the mind, is attached to some object, there it creates likes and dislikes. So I'm aware, but my all five sense organs are working and I'm aware of it. So when you are aware, what happens? You become aware that the senses are meant for knowledge. The sense organ gives me the knowledge. That is why we say the instrument of the sense, instrument of the knowledge. Through the eyes, I can see the shape and the form. By the sound, I can hear the sound by the touch. But in a touch, in a sound, or in a name in the form, when you see someone, that ideas of likes and dislikes is filled up by the mind. And then we start staring. Our eyes dilate when we are more concerned about something, when we hate someone or react to someone. So the sense organs are meant for only the knowledge, not for stress and anxiety. What happens? You meet your son or someone stranger. Your mind is not only careful, relaxed, and calm, because you are aware. Sense organs do not have the property of experiencing peace and happiness. It is the mind. But the mind imagines happiness in the world. That is the second problem. So you see any person, you go to any event, you meet any relations, your mind is aware that, how mind is, just you remember that happiness and peace is not there outside in the world, it is always inside. But if you think that it is outside, that makes you restless. And that restlessness comes from the attachment and detachment. So simple. And when there is an attachment, detachment, there may be a craving, an expectation, and intent to fulfill the desire will automatically move into the mind and it will create problems. So this week, you are aware, you are ready to express your peace and happiness in all the relationship with the people, with objects and the things and situations. Why do we keep seeking happiness in the external things? I know you have asked this question many a times. Why do we keep seeking happiness in external things? Because of ignorance. One, and because it gives me an instant temporary pleasure as I feel. Even the pleasure is not there. We claim. So, due to ignorance about our real source of happiness within, mind is constantly seeking happiness. Seeking happiness means the mind is running outside. Running outside that it has to go into anxiety. Why can't the mind provide the real peace and happiness? Mind does not have that peace and happiness. That is what we have just discussed. So where the real happiness lies, that is beyond the sense organs, beyond the body, beyond the mind, it is in consciousness. And that is what you experience when you go into a deeper state of meditation. You become oblivious of the entire world and you're there. There is another way. I said that mind is constantly seeking happiness outside, but there has to be a doer of the mind, and that doer of the mind is the ego. So many of our masters also say that if we move beyond our ego, we can enter into that state of peace and happiness. We can recognize it is temporary, it is permanent. So that is what we have understood until now. We have to go a little deeper. There are three instruments. Body is also an instrument. Instrument like the car is an instrument, the smartphone is an instrument, the screw is an instrument, fan is an instrument, AC, etc. Same way, we have the instrument of the body and the sense organs that helps me to see and perceive the external world. My mind cannot see the external world directly. Mind goes through the eyes, mind goes through your ears, through the tongue, through the nose. Body plus sense organ help me to see the world. External instruments. Then there is a subtle instrument which is known as inner instrument. It is also known as the mind and the intellect and the ego. So they are the inner instrument. The way you are using your eyes, you have to use your mind rather than the mind should use you. Clear? So what is happening? The senses influence the mind. I see something very attractive outside. It goes into my mind. My mind starts thinking about it. It causes the likes and dislikes. So it means now the senses have influenced the mind. Now this mind keeps on thinking. It influences the intellect. And what happens when it influences the intellect? The ego inside says, no, this guy is crazy. This guy makes me stressed. This guy made me unhappy. But fact is that There is nothing that outside that can make you happy or unhappy. That is the topic we are going to discuss in detail why it happens today. For example, in India we used to say that your feet are the instruments, sense organs are the instruments, mind is an instrument, and now the intellect has a flair, has a habit of drinking vodka. So what I said, senses influence the mind influences the intellect now takes over the ego, and that ego says what? Vodka gives me happiness. So all my instruments supports that ego, and it lends up to the liquor store. It doesn't lend up to the studio or practice of meditation. Instruments are the same. Nothing happens to the instrument, but we become crazy and stressed. Are you getting it? That is why we say we have to purify the mind. So going to a store, going to a vodka, to drink vodka, I'm using my eye, all five sense organs in the hands and the feet, plus the mind, plus the intellect, plus the ego. The same instruments can be used to bring about a change in your life. I believe you are getting my point that I'm making. And how it can happen. You are listening daily, you are consistent regular study means consistent regular listening and learning. When you do the repeat listening and learning, it becomes a contemplation and reflection, plus the practice. Will help us get rid of these crazy stuff in our mind. So understand clearly, we have three bodies. We are just talking of the three bodies. External body, it is a physical body plus the sense organs. It is an external instrument. Then there is a subtle body. That subtle body, what we say, is the mind. Mind, memory, intellect, and ego. And then there is a causal body, the cause of both the mind and the body. External instrument, are you aware? External instrument and internal instrument. So the subtle body means the mind, memory, intellect, ego, past impression. And if I entertain those impressions of the past, which has caused me the reaction and anxiety, if you are entertaining those thoughts, it means your subtle body or your inner instrument is using those negative thoughts. What happens? We start moving down. We feel totally upset. We feel as if we are full of fatigue. We feel as if there is a unnecessary unwanted stress in our life because of the past impressions, because of lack of awareness, because of the false assumption, because my mind has imagined a situation which happened a year ago. internally if we are not aware. Or I can say even at the mental and the emotional level, if we are not aware, we get carried away by the past impressions, and it causes a lot of challenge. Mind and the memory, intellect and the ego, they all work together, and our subconscious mind supplies those impressions which causes the reaction. When you are doing a consistently practice, you're listening, you remember these principles. Now the same mind triggers the positive emotion. You remember. Well, you remember peace is your essential nature while looking at a person or while talking to a person. So it means what? You will not be impacted by what that person says to you. So why we refer the causal body? Causal body is made up of the ignorance. It contains impressions of the past. All the impressions of the past, you became reactive once. It multiplied into thousands of the impressions, and they are already living into that causal body. And because it is living in the causal body, when it resurfaces at the mental level, we feel upset, we get upset. We react. We have a craving. Sometime we strengthen our ego. So this is a downward movement of the mind. So when you follow these principles, there is an upward movement of the mind. So these instruments, I can use it for pleasure, I can use it for pain, or I can use it for permanent peace and happiness. It is the same sense organ, five senses, the body, the same mind, the intellect, and the same ego can experience the self-fulfillment, and it is also experiencing at present the anxiety reaction. The instruments are the same. There is no change. That's why I gave an example. You can drive the car to a wine shop, or you can drive the car to a studio where you can practice meditation. Your mind can come to me to learn these principles, or your mind can go to anyone, causing unnecessary stress and duality and a conflict. Same instruments can serve either purpose. Now think where we bring about a change. If I don't think, I cannot bring about a change. But what should I think? I think about these principles. But how can I think about those principles, and how these principles I can retrieve from my mind? Because when you are doing a consistent practice, you are listening to it, you remember those principles. For example, the mantra, Parvesham Swastir Bhavatu. You remember those principles, and instantly you recall those principles, and you are done. Mind is always, can I say, mind is always dominated by the red light, yellow light. Mind is dominated by the red light and immense. It lives in ignorance. It is constantly seeking peace and happiness, and it has an element of reaction, anxiety, duality. It is the red light. You need not to think, speak, and react when there is a red light. And at that moment, you invoke the blessing from the mantra, yellow light. Now yellow light turns green once you have chanted the mantra. You remember that the peace and happiness are your essential nature. You even think of it. It will change. So what happens? You remember nothing outside can cause peace and happiness. Nothing outside has a property of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. When you are thinking this, it's a green light. And in the next moment, you get rid of that anxiety and a reaction because your level of awareness goes up. Your mind has started moving up. This is one way you can say, but there is also the moment you encounter a situation, there the power of discernment and dispassion can work. Maybe you're meeting someone, you find that there, and your mind is internally wants to react, it has triggered a reaction. That is the moment you have to think that why the person outside, why the situation outside triggering a reaction. Let me hold on that reaction. Let me maintain my awareness. When you are maintaining your awareness, you see the person outside, you see the reaction in your mind because of the attachment, and that attachment drops, and you are free. I think I discussed about being judgmental and being in a discernment. So when you are judging, so you get attached to the strong likes and dislikes. And because you are already attached to the strong likes and dislikes, and the mind is constantly triggering a reaction and it makes you upset. What is discernment? You see both the likes and dislikes have nothing to do with me. When you recognize that the likes and dislikes have nothing to do, reaction has nothing to do with you, your mind calms down easily. But when dominated by the desires of seeking happiness outside, again I'm repeating, today's session is just, I'm trying to help you to pick up that awareness. Is the mind seeking something outside? And I hold back. I say, okay, let me retrieve my steps. It's a red light. What is the green light? Let me express peace and happiness in every situation, people, and relationship. It can only happen because of the practice, through the discernment we can use. Through the discernment, we can simply get rid of the false assumption, and the mind can enter into that state of the calmness. Again, see from another perspective. How can I be free myself from the hold of desires and impressions, the past impression, through self inquiry? What is self inquiry? You start contemplating and reflecting. And you remember the principle that the peace and happiness are within me. It cannot be the property of anything, any object outside. You just start thinking. The moment you start thinking, you are able to reduce, minimize that impact. My master used to say, we should always have two desires. You mix these two desires with all other desires. Constant, consistent listening and learning the principles of Eastern wisdom, that is one desire. And second desire is to contemplate and reflect, to study my mind, maintain my awareness, remembering that peace and happiness is inside me, not outside. So these two desires are the positive desires. So even thinking of these two positive desires changes the direction of the mind, and it makes you happy and relaxed and calm. So now can you separate two desires are the positive, the rest of the desires, causes, anxiety, reaction are the negative desires. I need not to think about it. But what happens when you are thinking of those false assumptions and the wrong desires? The energy level goes down. It goes down. It drains my energy. And when the energy is moving downward, we feel anxious, we are reactive, we crave, we are upset. And when the energy moves down, it further manifests into greed, anger, attachment, reaction. And that is why we have to practice discernment and dispassion again and again and again. We should not leave these two desires until the death. Where are two desires? To study. No, I'm listening and learning. Today I learned this principle. I forgot that, now I retrieved. So that is what the upward and the downward movement of the mind. So ignorance and desire for seeking or desire for seeking happiness outside are the downward movement of the mind. Seeking peace and happiness within, withdrawing the mind within, causes the upward movement of the mind. Obviously, we rise in awareness. No jealousy, no hatred, no craving, no reaction. What it means, as you continue living your life for a couple of weeks and the months, the time will come. These impressions will dissolve in your personality. And once they dissolve, you are gradually and progressively removing those impressions. External instrument. Are you aware what we have done? External instrument, the body and the five sense organs perceives the world. So these sense organs are given to us to perceive the world, the beauty of the world, not to get entangled, engaged. Who engages the mind? Mind is an inner instrument, the mind and the memory, intellect and the ego. You have seen someone Now, when the mind keeps on repeating about that person's situation and a relationship, there comes the attachment and detachment, attachment or aversion. Can I become aware of it? Or my mind is constantly repeating this thought about a person, about that event, about a situation. Hold on, hold on. So when you don't stop, you are constantly thinking. So likes and dislikes becomes the attachment and detachment, and attachment and detachment causes the desire. Now the mind has to run outside to fulfill the desire outside. But why it has to fulfill the desire outside? Because it has already projected peace and happiness, love and wisdom outside. So mind starts running in the world with imagined happiness, with imagined peace in that situation, with imagined love in that situation or that relationship with that person. It is imagined peace. And we already know where there is an imagination, there is no reality. So mind keeps on running, starts working for why it goes for imagined peace and happiness. That is what leads to craving. That is what leads to the idea of a possessing something for peace and happiness. So when we have that idea imagined or projected peace and happiness, it colors the intellect. It dominates the intellect. Now also the intellect loses the power of discernment and it keeps on running after on the of that object. And then we start suffering. We start suffering, then our mind says, you are responsible for my suffering, that situation, that condition. But the fact is that no condition outside, no relationship outside, no people outside is responsible or has the property of stress or peace, pleasure or pain. My mind has projected, imagined, and created that situation. You say, I face the adverse situation. Does that situation constantly chase you? No. You may say that, oh, this person is made me crazy. So that person keeps on chasing you? No, he is gone. With that imagined idea, I keep on thinking. This week you are living a life of awareness, calmness. This week your mind has one principle intact, 24 by 7. What is that? That peace and happiness are not the properties of any situation, any relationship, any movement in the world. You should remember this the moment you wake up in the morning until you retire to the bed. So first thing. Now when you remember that peace and happiness are not the properties of anything in the world, and they are not responsible for my peace, happiness, they are not responsible for my stress or reaction or anger. That alone is not enough. We have to introduce another thought that peace and happiness are within me. Love and wisdom are within me. just living into that state. Remember, your mind is contemplating and reflecting throughout the week. And you will see this week will change your entire life. And sometimes it happens, sometimes even if you think that peace and happiness are not the properties of anything outside, and still the mind is constantly creating those negative thoughts, that is the right time to practice the meditation. Don't forget to practice the meditation there and return again with the same thought process. Peace and happiness are not the properties. They are not. Nothing is responsible outside for peace and happiness. Peace and happiness are lies within. And the last one, most important point, that let me express peace and happiness in this situation, in this relationship, in this condition in my life. Most important. Let me express, let me think, speak, and act out of the peace and happiness, love, truth, and wisdom in this situation, in this relationship, in this profession. Your mind has no time to think of the past memories. It doesn't retrieve the memory, and it is not ready to react. Before that, you have already said, let me express my peace and happiness too, and you will see the life is going to change. And that is why I did not give you any breathing practice today. You maintain your awareness and attention when you feel that you are comfortable and you are carefree. In that state of being carefree and comfortable, you recognize that you have raised your level of awareness. Once you are able to raise your level of awareness, then just this week you think, speak, and act. You start thinking, speaking, and acting how to move in this relationship, in that situation, in this situation, how to think and act in peace and happiness. We are not giving any weightage and importance to your anxiety, your reaction, your duality in a conflict, and you will see the life will change. You are the real self. You are the consciousness, different from the three bodies. You are real self means you are the peace and happiness, different from the five sense organs, different from the five motor organs. You are the real self, peace and happiness, different and separate from the mind and the memory, intellect and the ego. My master used to say, those who constantly think in this way, they are helping their mind to calm down. They are helping their mind, preventing any false assumption. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.